You don't own your favorite movie. Not anymore. When these red envelopes disappeared in 2023, so did your last chance to keep a film forever without a monthly fee. This isn't just about DVDs, it's about the death of ownership, and Netflix was the one holding the smoking gun. Let's keep it a buck. At first, we were all on our feet cheering. When Netflix officially benched its DVD by mail service, it felt like the natural end of an era. We thought we were just trading in a bulky, outdated roster for the sleek, frictionless future of the cloud. I mean, over 5 billion of those iconic red envelopes had been shipped since 1998. That's Wilt Chamberlain numbers. But by 2023, the world had moved on. We didn't need plastic discs scratching up in our living rooms anymore. We had streaming. We had the future. But chat, this wasn't just a tech upgrade. This was a quiet masterclass rewriting of the consumer contract. Netflix and the big tech giants were running a generational pick and roll on us, and most of us didn't even realize what we were signing away until the ink was dry. To really understand the bag we just fumbled, you gotta look at what ownership meant before the internet started doing too much. Back in the day, when you bought a VHS tape or a DVD, a real transaction went down. You gave Best Buy $20 and they gave you a physical object. You could watch Rush Hour 2 1,000 times, lend it to your boy, resell it for some extra cash, or just let it sit on a shelf looking aesthetically pleasing. It was yours, undefeated, forever. But that's exactly where things get weird, because the tech and entertainment industries looked at that classic playbook and realized something absolutely terrifying for their bottom line. When you own something, you stop paying for it.
Wall Street hates a one-and-done transaction. They don't want you owning the stadium. They want to charge you for a ticket every single day of your life. And so began a subtle psychological shift. Companies didn't want to sell you a product anymore. Nah, that's old school. They wanted to sell you a subscription. They promised us a limitless library of everything available anytime, anywhere, for the price of just one DVD a month. It sounded like the greatest free agency signing in history. We thought we had it on lock. Convenience completely blinded us to control. At first, this sounded harmless. Look at all these movies, until people realized what they had actually lost. Let me ask you something. Have you ever searched for a movie on Netflix, a movie you swore was just there, only to find it vanished overnight? Have you ever clicked on your heavily curated Spotify playlist just to see your favorite song grayed out looking like a ghost? Yeah. Welcome to the illusion of digital access. When you click buy on Apple TV or Amazon Prime, you aren't actually buying a movie, bro. If you read the fine print, that novel of legal jargon none of us have read since the dawn of time, you'll find a chilling truth. You are merely buying a revocable license, a temporary hall pass to view the content, and they could snatch that pass back whenever they feel like it. And this is the part nobody talks about. They do revoke it constantly. They will literally snatch it right out of your hands. Check this out. In late 2023, PlayStation hits the timeline and announces they're just going to go ahead and delete hundreds of purchased Discovery television shows from users' libraries. Hold up, not from a streaming service, from the private libraries of people who had paid full hard-earned cash to own them. Why? Because a licensing agreement expired. Boom. Just like that, digital libraries evaporated into thin air. People who had spent hundreds of dollars were left holding a massive L. No refund, no physical disc, just an empty screen and an error code. You got robbed and the thief left a terms of service agreement at the crime scene.
Amazon famously did this years ago, remotely deleting copies of George Orwell's 1984 straight off users' Kindles. Bro, 1984! The irony is so heavy you need a forklift. They literally used Big Brother tactics to delete a book warning us about Big Brother. You cannot write a script this crazy. This isn't an accident, guys. This is the new normal. We have officially entered the era of you'll own nothing and you'll be happy. But let me ask you, are we happy? Or are we just cooked? The death of physical media has triggered a massive psychological shift in how we value art. When you had a shelf of DVDs or games, those films represented your identity. They were curated. They meant something. When you just have infinite scrolling tiles on Netflix, movies stop being art, they become content. We treat them like fast food, disposable, forgettable. You binge it in a weekend, and if it gets removed from a platform tomorrow, for a whole generation of people, it's as if that movie ceased to exist entirely. Entire decades of cinema, television, and gaming are currently sitting in some cold corporate vault. If the copyright holder decides a film doesn't fit their current brand strategy, or if it doesn't put up LeBron-level engagement numbers in the algorithm, it gets benched, it gets pulled. It becomes lost media. And without physical copies out in the wild to preserve it, there is no backup. That red Netflix envelope was more than just a delivery system. It was a bridge between the physical and the digital. It was a symbol of a time when the consumer still held the cards. When Netflix shipped that final envelope in the fall of 2023, they weren't just retiring a piece of company history. They were severing our last physical tether to our media. They trained us to value convenience over control. They taught us to pay a monthly tax just to access our own culture. We traded our ownership for a sleek login screen. And the scariest part isn't even that they took it from us. It's that we gladly handed it over. If an executive decides tomorrow that this video right here doesn't fit their licensing strategy, it's gone. Poof, vanished into the cloud like it never even dropped. The digital world is temporary, my guys. If you want to keep channels like this alive and thriving in your feed, you can't just sit on the sidelines and rely on the algorithm to hand it to you. You have to take control. Hit that subscribe button, leave a footprint in the comments, because out here on the internet, if you don't claim what matters to you, someone else is just going to take it away.